I teach industrial technology at Castro Valley Unified School District at Canyon Middle School in Castro Valley. My fellowship this past summer at Fujifilm Dymatics, they asked me to look at shift-to-shift communication and consistency. So they had 4 shifts that went 12 hours with a half-an-hour overlap, and I needed to see how that worked and how I could hopefully gather information from that and make it work more seamlessly. My educational transfer plan is designed to teach communication and collaboration between 2 different periods that are doing identical projects, but now they must work together by sharing communication via a pass-down paper, which is emulating what took place at Fujifilm Dymatics. I took my experience at Fujifilm and then took an existing plan that I already had where students built a modular toothpick design, and I had 2 separate classes working on it, and now I decided, well, I want these classes to work together, and they have to pass down information on the same project, but they're now working collaboratively together, going back and forth each day, trying to continually build on the project only through written communication.
Today we were doing our project with toothpicks, and we were making pyramids in our groups with triangles and squares. My favorite part was to work together with my group and to build an awesome project. This lesson teaches us that teamwork and communication is important for our project to be successful.
The class before us leaves a slip that tells us what to do. I was trying to make a pyramid and the square was supposed to go around it that way. When we have our competition, it'll be stronger and stay up. During the competition, we have to put our modules on a table, and if they get shot at, and if they get knocked down, then we lose points, and the people who shot it get the points. I learned that good communication means writing it in complete sentences and telling what you've actually done and what you want us to do. If the communication is right, then everything will get done a lot smoother.
I've noticed that the students, they're really thinking about the process, whereas before, they would make the project, they would get frustrated, and they wouldn't understand the why. And now, it's built into a bigger context of, okay, we're making the modules. Oh, Fujifilm makes modules. Oh, this is what a module is. And now it fits into a bigger context, which before I couldn't really tie it into anything, although I knew that it was important for them to do it. Now I really know why it's important for them to do it. And I think they're starting to catch on as to why it's important as well. I think this experience overall has been unlike anything else I've experienced in my 23 years of teaching. This transformed the conversations I was having with students. It's been sort of a paradigm shift of the way I've been doing teaching. So I can see it being more of a global shift in what I do versus just another tool or technique adding into what I do with teaching.
Well, it's nice to have everybody here. My name is Jeff Larson, and I was invited here by Iisme to speak on behalf of as being an educator who's involved in the program. Last summer I completed the second of my fellowships, and it's been really great experience. One of the things that's great about the Iisme fellowship is that it's a paid opportunity for educators, as opposed to a lot of times for professional development. We're covering the cost of our learning and our experience and paying for coursework to advance our skills and abilities. One of the things is as an educator in San Francisco, I teach animation at high school in Balboa High School over by City College out in the Excelsior. And for the last maybe about 7 or 8 years, I've also been a part of Career Tech Ed, and I really believe in the model of Career Tech education as a way of bridging the work that you do in the classroom, the things you're teaching your students, and connecting it to the workplace. And oftentimes, these questions, the last time you heard a student say, "Why should I learn this?" when will I ever need to know this, and what does this have to do with anything? Well, for me, I didn't really have any industry experience. And by doing the fellowship, it helped me to be able to answer these questions. In some ways, it gave me workplace experience to connect to. And it gave me, some credibility with the students. Like having worked for Adobe 2 summers now, it's like when I come back to the classroom, I'm able to say, hey, I played these different roles, I worked with these different people, I understand how the workforce is working together, the way production teams are operating, and the way things happen. So Iisme stands for Industry Initiatives for Science, Math, Education, and they've been around for, again, like I said, 29 years. I thought it was 23, but that's quite a long time. And they've been serving, a good number of teachers, particularly in the Bay Area, for this time. And the great thing is that it offers teachers not only in science and engineering, but also other teachers like myself. My background is in arts and technology, and there have been social studies teachers and English teachers, and it can be from elementary school to college level teachers that are involved in these opportunities. So part of Iisme Fellowship is it basically runs 8 weeks. It is most of your summer. You usually have about a week off at the beginning of summer, and then a week off at the end, and then you're back to teaching. Part of the time that you're paid, though, is actually used to work on your curriculum, your ETP, your Education Transfer Plan, which is generally built upon the work experience that you're having, like the teacher in the video. Hey, I had this particular experience, I did this kind of project, and I could see how I could take this work experience and create a lesson directly for the students. The really strong component that helped me a lot was working with other teachers, having an opportunity to have my lessons and my curriculum viewed and looked at by teachers across a wide spectrum of abilities and subject areas. So, having an engineer or a science teacher look at my lesson plan and provide me feedback was great. It was also very inspirational to see the types of projects that other people were coming up with, and kind of, I could try some of that, or, seeing ways that they would model a lesson would be, something that I could carry back to what I was going to be building. So they've got this amazing amount of opportunities. When you create your application online, basically once you've put your resume up there, you then have an opportunity to kind of look through the site and visit and see the different opportunities of the different companies and say, hey, I'm interested in that position, and you make a direct application to that company, and at the same time, they're also seeing your resume out there, and they're like, oh, we're interested in that particular candidate. They have maybe the skills, the services, the thinking that they're interested in bring into their work site. And again, the list goes on. So what I was mainly I'm here to kind of talk about my experience. So in the 2 years that I worked at Adobe during the summer, I primarily worked with the Adobe Youth Voices program, which is kind of an auxiliary program that does international youth media making. My role was to help develop, I had to develop curriculum and teach workshops at different conferences. This last summer, they had me look at the program and the curriculum that they offer online and see how it aligned to the new Common Core standards. A lot of the more tech-related stuff had to do with doing backside work on the web, like editing photos, encoding media, and uploading stuff on the backside. This last summer, I got to help launch the Adobe Essentials website, which was previously only available to educators as part of the network. It's now open and free to educators all over the world. So we got to host the workshops at the conference, ISTE, which is a really large education technology conference. It's a great conference. If you've never been to it, it's an amazing one-stop kind of shop for a lot of great stuff. I also played an organizing role in working with other educators, helping to plan conferences where people attended. I provided workshops and technical assistance to teachers and students who were gathered for these summits, and so I'd kind of run around and help out with things. And over the last 2 summers, the ETPs that I developed, one was e-portfolios in the classroom, and so working with Adobe Acrobat, showing students how to create and develop a portfolio that contained work across the subject areas. And this newest one is the digital publishing project that I'm working on, doing kind of magazine-style interactive publishing to the tablet devices. And I'm actually going to be rolling that out when the semester starts in February. So these are some shots of just here setting up the lab at the different conferences, helping do green screen project with educators at last year's summit. And so again, like the whole experience has been really amazing in that I've had an opportunity to work with people in outside school setting. And as most of you know, education is kind of relentless. Like when you teach, it's like kind of go, you get up bright and early, and then it kind of never stops. In contrast, like summer, even though it's work, it's like, hey, 9 to 5. It's kind of the pace of life is a lot different, and you come in and people are like, hey, how you doing? And you're like, you get to work and it doesn't feel rushed. And so even though I was doing a lot and responsible for a lot of things over the summer, the pace of life, was just different, and it's a nice contrast to kind of work week. So one of the things I can say is that the 2 years have really helped me strengthen my technical abilities, my curriculum writing development. The project that I developed for the digital publishing actually won an award on the Adobe Education Exchange. And this is the webpage for the Adobe Youth Voices. Some of the stuff that I worked on is posted there. Which has things I want to touch on. That's most of the work experience. I would say that, the other things I want to touch on is through the opportunities that Iisme's provided, they also have grants, and the grants have enabled me to study 3D modeling, and this year be able to get a 3D printer, so actually moving into kind of manufacturing and prototyping. And which is really great is that a lot of this is not what my background, started me out as an arts educator. It was probably over the last 10 years that I really immersed myself in technology, and these last 2 summers have been tremendously beneficial in helping me see how the things that I teach can actually translate into a wide range of things.
Question?
Yes?
You mentioned a 3D printer, and you also mentioned that you were able to fund it using a grant. Some of the numbers I saw in the literature said the grants were roughly $1,000. So were you able to get an additional grant for that 3D printer, or can you get a 3D printer for $1,000?
You actually can get some 3D printers for under $1,000. They range in the models, and so what we did actually apply for and get an additional grant so that we could get an additional machine and the supplies and kind of keep it going. It's actually turning into a community-based project. We're going to do like a STEM event and open up the school site and invite other partners to kind of come in and we'll have the machines up. We'll have other groups and organizations as part of a community outreach for young people to have a chance to play with these things.
Is that paid for the PDC as well?
No. Probably that was a little extra fundraising. I think that's $150 to get the first round of filament supplies. So excited about that. I think I'm going to pass it over to Sherry now, and if you have any questions, you can ask now or later.
Okay, I'm going to go back. I love having Jeff with me, but I'm so used to doing this presentation myself, so I'm going to cover a couple of things that are not on this slide. It's okay. I just wanted to make a couple of things stand out so that you understand the program from the very beginning. But Jeff referred a few times to something called an ETP, which is the Education Transfer Plan, and I just want to talk a little bit about that component of our program. So how this works is you're going to get a fellowship for 8 weeks over the summer at one of those organizations that we had a couple of slides about, and actually the whole list of organizations is also on the back of the blue handout, just so you can keep in mind who's participating. So it's like having a full-time job for those 8 weeks. And then the ETP, the Education Transfer Plan piece, is 10% of your paid time. So for 90% of your time over the course of the fellowship, you're actually working for the organization that has hired you. You're doing a job for them. They're hiring you to complete something that they need done at their organization. And in the process, they're going to train you to do that work. So what's nice about it is you get to learn and you get to contribute to that environment. And as educators, it's always nice to know that you can do anything. I think, when you're in a classroom a long time, it's nice to go out and remind yourself that you are capable of doing an amazing job in any of these organizations. You get to work there, you get to prove yourself there, and most of our companies would love to hire our teachers, but we don't let that happen. We want you in the classroom. But it's really nice that you get to learn that part about yourself as well. And then in addition to that, you're getting paid time, which we don't always get as educators, to develop curriculum. Or maybe I should say we almost never get as educators. So 10% of the money over the summer is to get you to think about your own curriculum and how you'd want to improve that or enhance that or add to that based on what you're learning over the course of the summer. So that's the ETPs that Jeff was referring to. He's done an incredible job with his work in translating that back to the classroom and then showing it in several different ways in terms of getting grants and enhancing it even further, taking classes to enhance that even further. So Iisme sort of can open up the door to those opportunities, and then then you can explore what else is out there.
I just wanted, on that same note, this handout also gives you an example. There's a lot of different examples of what different teachers have done, what their fellowship experience was, and then how they translated that back into the classroom. And I think just from the two examples you've already seen, you can see they're vastly different, and that's why we put this together, so you get a sense of just how diverse. A lot of teachers are like, well, what would I be doing? Like, well, it's hard for us to tell you exactly, because we have everything ranging from developing websites to, writing a training to,
working in the fab labs.
Yeah, right, exactly. Or like Rob's at Fujifilm was very unique, and he was observing the communication handoff in the development of printer heads, right, between the two shifts. So he was putting on bunny suits, and so it's really, really different, and it all depends on what the sponsors want that year.
Yeah, so I wanted to just sort of circle back to that so that you understood that particular piece. And this slide, this is a representation of what we heard from 2012. We do evaluations at the end of every summer, hoping to improve where we can. These are the evaluations just from last summer. We had 165 fellows in positions last summer, summer 2012. And this is what they had to say in terms of the program. So some of you, there was a woman who walked in here earlier, and then she said, 8 weeks, that's my whole summer, and she left. So some of you might be thinking that, oh my God, 8 weeks, that's my whole summer. But what's so nice about it, and what might seem a little counterintuitive, is that most of our teachers walk out feeling really excited and revitalized to go back into the classroom. They learn A, that they're in the right profession, which is always nice to be reminded of. B, they like working with adults, but it's really fun with kids. And C, they have all this really amazing stuff to bring back to kids. They've learned all these new ideas, these new technologies. They're integrating new ideas from curriculum for their own classroom. They've learned other ideas from curriculum from other classrooms, and they're excited to go back into the classroom and implement all of that. So like I said, I've been with Iisme for 12 years. These numbers are consistent over those 12 years. This is not like we just pulled 2012 to show you. This is what we hear. And every year, over 90% of the teachers say that it's the best professional development, or in the top 10% of the best professional development they've ever experienced. And that's really nice for us to know. So we're doing some good for teachers out there, and it's a good program to get involved in that respect. So what are the perks of participating? So professional growth for sure. We talked a little bit about that at the very beginning. It's really nice to go out there and learn what you haven't seen in a while. If it's re-immersing yourself in industry settings, pick up new skills. If you want to go out there and enhance curriculum, that's a really exciting way to do it. What can you bring back to the classroom to say, this is what I learned at Lockheed Martin, and this is why teaching this particular math lesson is so critical. This is the technologies that you need in order to succeed in a place like that. I mean, those kinds of connections are really critical for kids as well. School resources, absolutely. Once you go out there and you start getting into industry, you find out all the resources that are available to educators that you may not have known about before, whether it be grants or getting equipment for your classroom or your school. So that piece is really important as well. And again, somebody said when we walked in, what was the term you used when I asked, what's the best thing about bringing back? Just lost it. Credibility, I think is what you said. That's another nice thing. It's nice to be able to walk into your classroom and say, when I worked at NASA last summer, I used this and this and this. When I was at Stanford in the research labs, I learned this and this technology is really critical. I mean, those are important. When you're talking to parents, it's also nice to have that stuff to pull out. It's nice to bridge the two worlds, and that's networking becomes really important as well. We had a fellow at Lockheed Martin a couple years ago who casually, maybe not so casually, mentioned to her VP at Lockheed Martin that she could really use laptops for her classroom, and then got a whole set. So it's, the resources are different, you know, in schools versus industry. We know that. We're very well aware of that. But tapping into that, networking with the people that are there is a really nice, also another perk of the program. In addition to that, you're going to work with the other 100 and, we don't know yet this summer, 175 we're hoping, maybe 200 if things are really good. You get to network with all those other teachers. We have a community website, which I'll mention and show you where that is a little later as well. And all the curriculum that gets developed online, so that you can look at other curriculum that's being developed as a result of these fellowship opportunities. So, you know, if you're the lone computer technology teacher in your district, I mean, I don't know where you all come from, but maybe having access to other people in that community would be really helpful. Maybe meeting people from another county that is doing similar work to you would also help. So that sort of networking is really important as well. And then we also do host, a lot of the people that host the teachers, the organizations that bring you on board, they'll do tours or they'll come to your classroom, you know, so that sort of opens up that networking possibility as well. And then of course the compensation is really critical. And I'll talk about, I think the next slide has it broken down. But in addition to the financial stuff, we also offer credits. So if you need continuing credits, you have that option as well by participating in the program. Sometimes that bumps people up the salary scale. So the money that's tied to the fellowship, we say $8,200, and I'm going to just explain where that all comes from. So it's an 8-week program, I've said a few times. It's $900 a week for each of the 8 weeks, so it's full-time. If you break that down per hour, it's not the highest salary in the world, but you're also learning. So you have to weigh those two sides. So that's where the $7,200 comes. That's guaranteed to every teacher who participates and does the work for the 8 weeks over the summer. And remember that that includes, 10% of that paid time includes working on and developing curriculum. Okay, so that's the $7,200. In addition to that, you get $1,000 for completing the education transfer plan. As a nonprofit organization, we have to show our sponsors what's coming out of this. They want to impact education. We can say the deliverables, these ETP, these teachers are taking these ideas back to their students are gaining from this, other teachers are gaining from this. So we have grants to incentivize completing that. So you get $500 as soon as you turn it in, and you're already being paid to develop it, so it's an additional money to that. And then we ask that you report on it after you use it in your classroom, and that's an additional $500. The reporting on it is just an online survey. It usually takes our teachers 15 to 20 minutes, I would say, to complete, and then you get the other $500. So the $7,200 for the 8 weeks, the $1,000 for the ETP is guaranteed to every teacher who's in the program. So that's the $8,200. Any questions on that piece? We sometimes are at conferences and we say $8,200, and people say, I have to pay? No, we pay you. And the only piece that's competitive is the Fund for Innovation. So in addition to that, and this is actually the grant that Jeff received, I think you've received it twice. The Fund for Innovation is up to $1,000 for anything that you might need in your classroom. So whether it's the technology of the 3D printer, we have teachers request science kits to do science labs in their schools. We've had people ask for money for field trips, for LCD projectors, for this year we got a lot of iPad asks. It's a 2-page grant application, and we were able to fund about $25,000 worth of grants this past year to our fellows. And again, we're a nonprofit, so whatever we can bring in, we give back out to teachers. So it's a nice thing. It's surprising to me. We have 165 teachers, and we only got, I think, about 50 or so applications for FFI, and it's open to all fellows. So I think, you know, not everybody jumps on the grant opportunities, but it's a nice additional funding source for our teachers once you're back in the classrooms. A lot of teachers use it to support the ETP they just developed. They may have integrated some new technology or have new software or something that they now need to purchase, so this is a nice way to get that, that additional funding. Any questions on the money stuff? No. Okay, so what's required? All right, so you have to teach in our service area, which right now is open to 8 counties around the Bay Area, and we're also piloting in Southern California, but I'm assuming you're all Northern California.
No, Southern.
Oh, you are Southern, all
Los
right.
Angeles.
So we're open. I didn't expect that. Okay, so we're in Los Angeles, Orange, and San Diego counties as well, right? I'm sorry?
Boston.
You're from Boston?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Although we plan to take over the world. We're not in Boston. Not right now, but there are some programs that are up there, so we should talk before you leave. All right, so, I'm sorry. So we're in all of these counties around California right now. We are always looking to expand our reach. In fact, we just launched in Solano this year, so that's kind of exciting for us. Anyway, in addition to that, you have to be teaching anywhere from K-16, and we ask that you're contracted for the following school year. I'm going to talk about that a little bit because I already got a question about that, and it's always sort of a touchy subject for some people. Why do we do this? We do this because we're a nonprofit, and our mission is to impact education. We want to know that the teachers who are holding fellowships are going to be going back into the classroom the following school year. That's why we require contracts. Some people don't get their contracts when they have to apply. Applications are due in the next couple of months, and you may not have your contract yet. So what we ask in lieu of that is, can your administrators say, we have every intention of bringing this person back? Even though you haven't signed a contract, that would work for us, because we know that every district is different, every school is different. So that's why that's important.
Adjunct instructors.
I'm sorry?
Adjunct instructors.
Yes, that was the question I got earlier too. We've placed a lot of adjunct instructors, this is the truth. And again, we usually talk to the department chair and just say, do you expect to have this person back on board? And then as long as they can say yes to that question, then we can move forward with the application process. It's tricky, yeah. But with all the pink slipping that goes on too, California is challenging. We also ask for commitment to teaching for the same reasons. Our whole mission is to get people in the classroom. We don't want to take somebody and put them at a company and they're looking to us to sort of promote them to a new job. That's not our purpose. There's lots of other ways to do that, not with us. Principal signed endorsement, that's what I was just talking about. That can be any administrator that can attest to the fact that you're going to be coming back or expected to be coming back, and continuing to teach for at least the next 3 years. Again, that's that commitment. We're offering these fellowship opportunities to teachers who are really committed to changing their classrooms, to making an impact, to working on their own professional development. Did I say 2 years? That's there too. 2 full years of teaching by the end of this school year is also required to have a 2013 fellowship. And again, I don't know, if you think back to your first year teaching, I can go back to my first year teaching in New York City Public High School. If somebody took me for after that first year and put me at Google for the summer or something, I don't know what my life would have done. But we want to make sure people are grounded in education. And then you have to be able to work full-time in a non-teaching job over this summer, so all the legal stuff that goes along with that. And then most of the fellowships are standard business hours full-time. So those are sort of the requirements to apply. Does anybody have any other questions? Yes.
Are most of the companies in the northern area, or do you have quite a few companies in the southern area?
No, most of our companies are in the northern area. We've been up here for 29 years. We've been down south for the last 2 summers. So we are expecting, we are, with everything crossed, and we're hoping for a number of fellowships down there this year. We're on the verge. Qualcomm is one of the big ones. Qualcomm's in northern San Diego. They're talking about taking a large number of teachers this summer, so we are excited about that opportunity. We've had teachers at Aerospace Technologies in LA, and they plan on coming back. Nordson and Hewlett-Packard. So it's smaller down there for sure, but we're hopeful and we're working very hard to grow it.
Hewlett-Packard is down south?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we are a staff of mighty 7. And we work very hard to make as many possibilities out there as possible. We have a lot of interest in Southern California from the teacher side, a lot, and it's getting ourselves immersed in that business community down there, and we're working on it. But I'm hopeful this summer that we're going to have a number more than we have. Okay, so the time frame, I got this question as well. So right now, applications just actually opened. Just a few weeks ago, we launched a brand new website. Very exciting for us, very exhausting. But applications are now completely done online on the new site. The application deadline, we don't have a hard and fast deadline. What we ask is that you try to get it in by mid-February if possible. It gives us the most time to review it and get you ready for when the sponsors start posting their fellowship opportunities, which is in early March. So Right now, you want to get your applications in the next 6 weeks or so would be awesome. It's like filling out an online resume. It is 9 pages long. There is some thought that has to go into it, but you can also do it in pieces. You can just fill out 1 page a day if you want. You have a resume in front of you. It makes it easier. Copy and paste your resume. There's a paste by word, you know, that helps. Keeps your nice formatting and everything. So you want to get on that soon. The fellowships, for lack of a better metaphor, simile. Wow, I'm a math person. It's a lot like a dating website. Our site, so like you guys put all your applications in, and then in March, all the fellows start posting their fellowship opportunities, and both sides can see each other. So we'll send all sorts of notification out to you saying fellowships are online. They post all the time from March through May. We get new ones all the time, so you kind of want to come back to the site and look what's out there. When you see the positions that are on the website, you can express interest. So if you are particularly interested in working at Intel this summer and you see a job that's exciting to you at Intel, you can express interest directly in that position, and that mentor, the person that's organizing that position at Intel, will receive your interest statement and your resume. Okay, so it's a really interactive site that way. The people who are on the site and active in the process are the people who often get selected. So we have a large number of teachers. We had over 400 applications last year and we placed 165, so it is competitive. So anyway, so that launches in March and runs through May is the application part, when you can actually look at the positions. And then you get interviewed like you're interviewing for a regular job. It's usually not quite as intensive because it's 8 weeks, and you know, it's usually a little easier. There are a lot of people who are looking for teachers who are just kind of interested in learning that and how they're going to integrate that into their classroom. So that goes through April and May, and then the fellowships this summer we're aiming for the 8 weeks to start June 17th and run through August 9th. That's flexible. We know everybody's school district, school calendar is a little bit different, so there's flexibility on either side of that. You can start a little earlier and a little later, whatever. We try to aim for a general time frame so that you can all work together as a group as well. You're in groups working with peer coaches, you're in community groups with other teachers who are in the program. So there's a lot of support throughout the program. So that's the time frame we aim for, but again, there's flexibility. Then there's mandatory meetings. We have an orientation prior to start so that you know what you're getting yourselves into and what's expected. We have a midsummer meeting where we bring everybody together and we talk about curriculum development and where you are on your ETPs and how you can support one another. We have an end of summer celebration, which is just a giant party. Yay. Food and nice drinks at one of our sponsor companies usually. You meet with your coach. We have Iisme coaches who have been fellows several times and now support other teachers through the program. We hire them for the summer to help support a group of about 20 teachers. So you meet with them throughout the summer, and then community group meetings are with other teachers that are also being supported by that coach. And all of these things are paid time for you. So one of the things that we pride ourselves on at Iisme is that any work that you do should be paid by Iisme. We don't expect teachers to work outside of that, which is a nice change. Also, I know when I was in the classroom, I was, 20 hours a day, I don't even know anymore. But so all of these things are part of the program that you're expected to participate in and get paid to do. Yes?
I was just going to ask you that typically I know that you have 8-week fellowships.
Yes.
Do you ever offer like half of that, like maybe 4-week fellowship, or is that not an option?
That's a good question. It is not an option most of the time, is the truth. There have been very, very, very limited fellowships that have come in shorter than 8 weeks.
Okay.
And the reason is that the companies who sponsor and pay for these fellowships, they want something back also. So 4 weeks has proven to be too short usually to train and to get a product. We've sometimes had 7-week fellowships, and you're a Southern California person?
Right.
There might be something crazy going on with Qualcomm, because they're actually talking about doing possible shorter. So you should take my card because we should talk, because that might happen at that one company, but that's not our typical model. Yes.
Sorry. Are most of the sessions, the mandatory meetings up here in the north, and if so, are the expenses paid?
That is a great question as well. I wish I could say yes to that expenses paid part, but I can't.
Okay.
We actually have a coach in Southern California that facilitates those meetings. I came down and did orientation down there. I think this year, one of our hopes was at least for the end of summer to bring everybody up, if that all comes together for that celebration, just so you can see and be part of the bigger program. But we do support it. We come down to Southern California. It works out better for us as a nonprofit to do it that way. Yeah, and then, okay, so the fellowships run the 8 weeks, and then you're going to implement your ETP. The goal is to do whatever curriculum you develop to implement that in your school over the course of the next year, and then report on that. We call that the impact report. So, who can you contact? Well, you're looking at her. Me or Christina, you are welcome to reach out to us. I guess Christina's going to give you our cards. Christina pulled up the community website. This is what it looks like. You can search on subject area, grade level, type of ETP. You can do keyword search if you want to look for specific sponsor or anything. If you're looking for specific computer technology, you can check that out by searching here. And this is, thank you for putting this up, this is our beautiful new Iisme.org. It's really brand new. It's been up for, I want to say, like 3 weeks. It took over my life for a very long time. I know Drupal and Civi CRM now. But this is where you'll be applying. And it has all the eligibility requirements. Everything that I talked about is also on the website, so you can refresh and remind yourself if you have
And there's lots of other videos if you want to see other teachers and what they've done. If you want to get other ideas, which actually if you decide to apply, it's not a bad idea to kind of get a sense of what the fellowships are. So you're thinking about the types of things you're trying to sell yourself for, because a lot of times teachers tell about what great teachers you are, which is great, but you're in a pool of 400 teachers, so how can you distinguish yourself, right? And so you want to be thinking about, like, okay, what skills do I have that would transfer to a marketing project or to a training project or to a website project? I need to tell that story, right? So this can help maybe do it in that mind frame of what kinds of things am I applying for. You can also look at sample posts. You can see the current hosts. You can get a sense of who's pledged so far and what types of locations might I be thinking about when I'm applying. So yeah.
So that's us.